Welcome to Common Grounds, recorded inside the roasting room at the Coffee Roaster in Lincoln, Nebraska. In each episode, we sit down with people from Lincoln and beyond so you can get to know the fascinating individuals who help shape our community. Grab a cup and join us. We're glad you're here. For more than a quarter of a century, our guest today has worked in construction. He started as a college student doing remodeling. It's turned into a company called TrueBuilt Construction. Well, today, TrueBuilt Construction builds townhomes, personal homes, apartment complexes. And what happened was he ran out of good quality people to hire to help in his construction. He's done some remodeling out in Red Cloud, the Burlington Station, Willa Cather's childhood home, and other projects out there, and the Grand Manse down here in downtown Lincoln. Well, there's a need for people to help build all these projects and remodel. That sent our guest to talk to Tony Goins. Tony at the time was head of economic development for the state of Nebraska. That led him to Tim Clare. And I was amazed when he told me I talked to Tony Goins and I talked to Tim Clare, and both of them said, you know what, you need to go to Don't Panic Labs. That's a software developer here in Lincoln, Nebraska. And the people at Don't Panic Labs helped him develop what's called Career Pathway. It's a revolutionary career connection website that bridges the gap between individuals and businesses and educational institutions. Well, I'm talking about Bo Jones, and Bo is our guest today on this first edition of Common Grounds. Bo, I'd like to say welcome. We're glad to have you here, and Marilyn and I are going to just grill you and find out what makes you tick. But what we'd like to start with, a little harsh there. Yeah, this is from the roasting room at the Coffee Roaster. But what I'd like to start with is we ask you to bring your favorite cup, and you show up with a Yeti. And I'd like to hear the story about that cup.
Yep, this Yeti was given to me by the team at the Home Builders Association after my year of service as the president of the Home Builders Association. Okay. An amazing organization here in town that is committed to making sure that Lincoln delivers affordable, quality housing, and to be associated with that group before, during, and after my presidency has been a very defining moment in my career, without a doubt.
So, I just talked about the construction you do. I've watched Career Pathways grow from a little software project and a modest website into something pretty big. And now you talk about being president of the Home Builders Association. How do you do all this? Do you have a family?
Happily married with 2 children. Yeah, my wife Amber and I met in college. We were in a life insurance class together, and I guess the rest is history as that goes. And yeah, 2 amazing children. My daughter is a second year at Southeast Community College studying business, and my son is a senior down at Southwest High School.
So tell me, I guess I'm going to ask you one of your favorite projects that you have worked on or are working on with TrueBuilt Construction.
Starting out small. We started out doing fence repair jobs and window replacements and go on down the list, but we've grown up into the big projects now, and having the ability to start from scratch. We're first generation. We bought every single one of our tools ourselves, and now we're on projects that most contractors dream of at some point in time to be able to do. So I guess watching the progression, knowing that we hit every rung of the ladder is something to be proud of, and some amazing projects along the way. The clients that we work for and the projects that we do that's what makes us tick. Everything's a little bit different. The relationships that get built from that and the repeat and the referral clients are phenomenal.
I'm curious about how you learned to do this, because you said you were a finance major. You were prepared. You were going to be people's personal financial advisors. You met your wife in a life insurance class, and you just started doing odd jobs and fixing fences and doing window repair. Where did you learn all of the skills that it takes to do the projects you're doing today? I mean, you probably hired smart people, and that's a really smart thing, but You've learned a lot.
Yeah, construction was never on my radar. I never took any construction classes in high school or college, and I have no formal degree in construction other than the School of Hard Knocks. But I love it. I love having a vision for something, putting together a plan, assembling a team, and then making it happen. And then the moment of stepping back and seeing it in 3D and it functioning and helping people for the intended use is really hard to not be passionate about that.
How do you go about building an apartment complex? I mean, I all I know about them is when I walk into them when you're done. But I assume you've got a step-by-step process you have to go through.
Yeah, a lot of planning. The vision, I'll use Aristos as the example, is we partnered up with a guy by the name of Brent Luchins, who has a lot of properties here in town, and he has this vision of how do we make it the best in Lincoln in terms of the site layout, the layout of every single room and the color selections and making it feel like a home in an apartment complex. And when you have somebody like Brent that's a visionary that can take a 20-acre parcel of ground that when we bought it was farm ground. It was a soybean field. And now it is some of the nicest apartments in the city of Lincoln. It takes vision, it takes the ability to relay your message to the design team and the architects and make sure that everybody's on board with what you're envisioning. And then when you get to the point of, okay, now it's go time. Now you get to actually build this thing that you've been planning for years and watch it come to fruition is very rewarding. It's a lot. It's a lot of work.
You have people and staff that do everything from pouring the concrete to running the wiring, or do you subcontract?
We subcontract most of that out. We do run a team of between 20 and 25 at any given time, and we manage projects. Our team of carpenters are among the best. They're the ones that we send in. We can send them into the most fancy houses here in town, and we know that the end result's going to be amazing. So, but yeah, we utilize a lot of subcontractors and other suppliers that help us accomplish all of these big projects.
So tell us about building a platform and building a service. You're not doing foundations, you're not doing walls, you're not doing electrical work, you're not choosing paint colors. But I have a feeling that those skills apply to building Career Pathway. So tell us about that inception and what's it like now?
You nailed it. The vision, the planning, the design, and then ultimately the execution in construction is very similar to building in software. And the model that we used for careerpathway.com is just that, is we assembled a team of outside third-party groups that can do these things for us. So we hired Tim Clare to do the legal. We hired Jan LeBenz to do the accounting. We hired Don't Panic Labs to build the software platform. And then our team internally is the marketing and making sure that everything runs according to plan. And just you assemble the right team and you utilize the people that you need to do it. And it's familiar. You can move pretty quick, especially when you're using a robust team like Don't Panic Labs. There are some months we need 1 or 2 people working on the platform, and there were times that we needed, I think we had 14 at one point in time, people on their team working on our platform.
So when you build apartments, in your mind, you can see families living there, you can see people living there, you can see youngsters just fresh out of college setting up their first home and so forth. What do you see when you look at Career Pathway? What's your image there?
So I think we go back to the start of careerpathway.com and why we got into this. I was up against 3 frustrations pretty consistently. Number one is we are way short on labor in the construction industry. This is us, this is our electricians, plumbers, go down the list. Everybody is short on workforce. Well, it extends beyond construction. It's manufacturing, it's nursing, and there's a lot of industries that are short on workforce. So that was frustration number 1. Number 2 is I've always made myself available as a mentor. We've been in classrooms, we've built houses with students, we've done everything that we can possibly imagine from career fairs to other events to make sure that this next generation knows that we are a resource that they can utilize as needed to have insight into our industry. That was frustration number 2, is how do I do more of that with less effort? And then honestly, number 3 was watching my daughter make the transition from high school, and at the moment she needed to make one of the biggest decisions of her life in deciding what she wants to be when she grows up. She was not prepared. She had nothing to start with. It was hesitation, frustration. We had tears. Go down all of the list of emotions. We dealt with all of them. And the bottom line is she just didn't know. If you flip the switch and look at the other side and you're like, hey, how did we get to where we are? Well, we as industry offer tens of thousands of different careers. How does the education system give every single one of their students a unique insight into tens of thousands of career opportunities? They can't. It's not realistic. But how do we as industry help? So with careerpathway.com, what we've done is we've created the platform where every single industry and every single business and every single mentor can come in and tell our story. What does it mean to be in construction? What does it mean to be a carpenter or a general contractor? We can put that in front of these students that are coming through middle school, high school, and college, and they get real world insight straight from those of us that are doing it, so that at the moment they have to make that big decision of their life, they've got something to start with. They have at least a basic understanding of maybe what they don't like and what they do like, and where to go next.
And are you seeing that happen?
Oh yeah.
Ivan, tell us about it.
If you ask me, what is the definition of success for careerpathway.com? It is the moment where somebody identifies something they're interested in and they make the connection to the next step. And last year, through careerpathway.com, we had over 700 connections made.
Wow.
That's phenomenal.
For a second-year product.
That's a fabulous outcome.
Over 700 times, somebody identified what they're interested in and reached out to a college or a business for the next step.
So is the focus mostly in the construction world, or is it broader than that?
It's every industry.
Every industry.
As a matter of fact, First National Bank of Omaha received the most applications last year.
Really?
Over 30.
So,
I suspect that banking is a lot like construction in the sense that people have no idea how many careers there are in banking. I come from a farm background. People don't know all the careers there are in ag. So you open up possibilities.
You are exactly right. And we use Kawasaki manufacturing as an example quite often, and here's why. Kawasaki, by definition, is manufacturing.
mm-hmm.
So if a student were to drive by that great big facility out there, like, oh, they build stuff, it's a manufacturing facility. In those walls, they have accounting, they have HR, they have marketing, they have procurement. Go down the list of everything they do within that building. They have their entire ecosystem of career opportunities. But if students don't know that they have things beyond welding and manufacturing, they don't even look there.
Yeah, I don't want to work in a factory.
Right.
But I'm interested in connecting people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's HR, or I'm interested in accounting, or whatever.
Exactly.
You're based in Lincoln. I know you do a lot of work out in Red Cloud, but I'm interested in the connections and how Lincoln, because Lincoln is such a connected city. I mean, how has that helped you?
Lincoln is outstanding. If you go down the list of all of the strong leaders that we have on the private and the public sectors, we are incredibly fortunate. And let's just name some names. Let's go down the list of the Kayla Schwartens over at Home Builders Association. Let's talk about Jason Ball and Luke Peltz at Chamber and LPED. The Tim Clares of the world, all of these people that are passionate about the success of Lincoln and will bend over backwards to make sure that it happens the way it should. And then you pair those people with the public sector, the elected officials that are willing to listen. That's the success. That's how this happens. If we have one side that stands our ground against the other side, nothing moves forward, and we as a community suffer. And we don't have that here. We're very fortunate that we can sit down with who we need to sit down with at the time we need to sit down and have these conversations that move everything forward.
One thing I've heard from people in I call it the startup world, is, or Silicon Prairie, if you will, if somebody is doing something that you might be a competitor of, they'll still help you. You go and ask, like if I were in construction, I'd come to, hey, Bo, I need some help in construction. You'd probably say, Randy, here's how I can help you, even though you're competing for jobs. You see that in what you're doing?
So that's funny you mentioned that, is because I was invited to be more involved with Home Builders Association years before I ever did get involved. For the very reason of, why would I ever want to sit in a room with my competitors? We go to battle every single day. We're trying to win projects against each other. What's the value in me sitting across the boardroom and looking at them? Well, I could not have been further off on that. Randy, to your point, is I can call any of these guys in the boardroom at Home Builders Association and be like, hey, Mike Rezak, I'm in a pinch. Hey, I can call all these guys, and they're all willing to help. That is the same with the tech software side of things, and that's just Lincoln in general. Is we are in this for the greater good. This is not just us for ourselves, and to heck with everybody else.
I want to add to that when I worked for Lincoln Public Schools, the home builders were always great partners with a whole lot of different curricular areas. And when we were doing, home construction and construction management kinds of things with students, home builders were always there. So that illustrates what you said earlier, that private-public partnership makes a stronger community also.
So when we built the houses with students, we built them with Bob Freeze up at Northeast High School.
Yes.
In conjunction with the Lincoln Housing Authority.
Yes.
And they've been doing that for decades.
They have. Mm-hmm. I have a great story. You will appreciate this. The kids that build those houses sometimes are characterized or feel like they're the misfits in a high school, and they're just some of the best kids in the world is who they are. And one of the students who built one of Bob Freeze's house told me that he had been driving down South 56th Street one day and drove past one of the houses that he built, and he said, I built that, and there's a little girl playing in the yard in front of the house that I built. It was an extraordinary moment for him and for all of us that heard it. It was just grand.
Yeah, that's our industry. And to the point of, a lot of those students feel like they're out of place when you put them in front of a textbook. I myself am not a textbook student. I do not learn by reading. I have to learn by doing.
Yeah.
I'm very hands-on. My son's the same way. Some of those students just feel like a fish out of water when they're sitting in a classroom and learning in the traditional sense. They need to get out and experience stuff.
And when you put them on a house building site, it's like, this is where I belong.
It's a totally different person.
This is what I do. It is a wonderful perspective.
Yep.
So you've talked about being president of the Home Builders Association. Are there other organizations that you're involved in, or your wife in the city that?
The team down at Lincoln Chamber of Commerce, I will go anywhere, do anything with them. They're great people, and again, going back to the vision of Lincoln being the best that we can possibly be as a community, they're our strong leaders. We're very connected with Southeast Community College out in Milford, their construction program. I'm on committees out there and kind of some advisory boards to help them design curriculum and make sure that they're keeping up with what we are requiring in industry. And then, other than that, I don't have a whole lot of other free time, but having coached the kids through, primarily my son through football and baseball for many years as he was growing up, was kind of my other give back.
It's part of our community too.
Do you sleep?
Yeah, sometimes.
Because I'm thinking you got 3 full-time jobs plus all this volunteer work that you do. Let me ask you this. You grew up in Lincoln. And so when you talk to people from other communities, whether it's in person or on the phone or by email, what do you tell them is in Lincoln's secret sauce?
It's hard for me to judge because I've only ever known Lincoln. From where we're sitting right now, I grew up about 10 blocks away, right behind Super Saver on 56th and Highway 2 in Colonial Hills. I went to Zeeman. I'm a Zeeman Zebra, and then I went to East High for middle school and high school.
High school, yeah.
Yeah, and then went all the way from there, all the way down to University of Nebraska Lincoln. I didn't get too far for any of my education, and just really haven't gone anywhere else. But I think to what we talked about earlier is the relationships that you build. If you do what you say you're going to do, and you build integrity and strong relationships, I don't see us, especially on the construction side, ever running out of work. We have so many people that we've worked with over the years. I think we've pulled over 600 permits in the city of Lincoln.
Wow.
For homes and apartment complexes. You drive by one of those huge apartment complexes, that's 1 permit.
Is that right? That's a 1 permit. We had a new garage built on our property last year, and it was one permit. So that's just interesting for me to think that one permit for one garage and one permit for a 500 unit apartment place. That is
For a
amazing.
50-unit building, yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
So, what do you tell people outside of Lincoln about this city?
Well, you got to be careful. You don't want to bring them in and ruin it. No, I'm just, but no, Lincoln's awesome. I can't imagine going elsewhere. You know, Amber and I travel and we go to these bigger cities, and that's not either one of us. We have no desire to be there. I think if anything, we'd probably go smaller at some point in time. If anything, Amber's a small town girl from down by DeWitt, farm girl, and so I don't see her ever wanting to go to anything bigger than Lincoln. So Lincoln is a big small town. Is you know someone almost anywhere you go, and you can reach out and connect with people.
Do you think that I've heard what you're saying from multiple people, and we've doubled in size in the years that Jan and I have lived here. We're right at 300,000 and growing. Do you think there's a tipping point where we're going to become a big city and not be as close-knit as we are now?
In time. You know, I think once Lincoln might grow a little bit different than, say, Omaha. Omaha has Omaha proper, and then you get into all of the Papillions, La Vistas, and Gretnas, and they kind of each become their own community. And we have a little bit of that, but not on the same scale. There aren't any communities around Lincoln that are as sizable as a Gretna or a Papillion yet. Maybe 30, 40 years from now that's the case, but I think we're a little ways off from that yet.
If you were mayor, is there something about Lincoln that you would say, this is what I'm going to focus on and make an impact or make a change?
Mayor has been very good about her commitment to housing. It's a struggle, it's a challenge, and it's when you look at any community, kind of the top three things are workforce, housing, and childcare. And workforce and childcare are tough, and housing is expensive, but Mayor has gone above and beyond to make sure that some of these housing projects, especially the one that she's doing with Fred Hoppy out there on Highway 77 and many others, is I applaud those efforts for sure, as housing is critical for our ecosystem in Lincoln.
Back to career pathways for a minute. I'm interested in, you've talked about how it's impacting in Nebraska. Is it in use elsewhere around the country?
Nothing like Nebraska. Nebraska, we have both sides. We have the business community and we have the students and the individuals. As we get into other states, we do have users on platform in 49 of the 50 states. Vermont's the holdout on us right now. But
have they just not found you, or is there some legal reason?
Nothing legally.
Okay.
Just haven't found us yet, I guess. But no, it's fun. We are talking to several other states right now about some pilot communities and making sure that we get both sides of that audience at the same time so that it's a good experience. And we'll see where it goes from there.
I'm really curious about your observations about employment and employment opportunities. Nebraska and Lincoln have a really low unemployment rate. And it seems like many places I go, there's evidence that that business is hiring people. And at the same time, I hear that it's really hard for new graduates to find jobs. And so I don't know how to reconcile those two things. What does it look like from your perspective?
Right. So the state of Nebraska in general has kind of two leading headlines. One is very low unemployment, and number two is kind of this concept of brain drain, is we have more people leaving the state than we do coming into the state. I think what we have with this younger generation, the ones that are seeking their opportunities, is they're not forced to start like we did. I had a paper out. I was a janitor at State Farm. I did all of these things that the kids of this generation would never even dream of doing. But we had to. Not entirely their fault, as us as parents have probably coddled them a little bit more than they should, but also sports. If any of our kids are playing sports right now, baseball used to be a 4-month per year activity. Football was a 4 to 5 month per year activity. Now, if you're not training year round for those sports, you don't make the teams. So any free moment that they would have to work or have a part-time job, a lot of times is spent training and working out for the next sporting team or whatever. So a couple different factors there, but but yeah, in large, we in the construction industry, I'll take all the young bodies I can get.
Really?
We have to have them. If I can't grab them at an early age and help train them and hone their skills, by the time they get to their mid-20s, I don't stand a chance to get them.
Yeah.
And a fun story. So this last week was spring break. We have a couple of high school team members, my son being one of them, and we have several in college from SCC Milford. And this was their spring break overlapped this last week. It was awesome. We challenged them that down on the big apartment building that we're doing down there were 36 decks to build. 7 of my youngest team members built 36 decks in 5 days.
Wow. So we were building 7 decks a day.
They were. The record was 10 decks. On Thursday they did 10 because the weather was perfect. They dealt with Wednesday had that little bit of a snow.
Yeah, it was an odd weather week.
Yeah, and they got it done. They got 36 decks done. And I gave them a little pep talk at the end of the day yesterday. And I said, do you guys realize what you just did? How many people do you think in the construction industry in the city of Lincoln can say that they built 36 decks in 5 days?
It would take me probably 5 months to build a deck.
They got the system. They figured out the routine, and they had a couple people on machines, and it was just neat to see what they did. But that's young. They're young.
That's a great story.
2 of them are 18 years old.
Anything we haven't asked you that came here thinking, I want to be sure and talk about this?
No, I don't. No, other than, as it relates to careerpathway.com, if somebody out there is passionate about helping this next generation figure out what they want to be, and you have knowledge and you have insight that you want to share with them, look me up. Reach out to careerpathway.com, and we need to get you on there. It's as simple as this is photos and videos. We're dealing with trying to get to the TikTok generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
We get to them through photos and videos. And that's what we're doing on careerpathway.com is it's a platform for us as industry to tell our story through photos and videos that are engaging to these students. And we're fortunate enough to have the education system willing to put it in classrooms so that these students, while they're in middle school and high school, can engage.
So you've talked about, you mentioned the construction world that you're dealing with. You mentioned a bank. Are there parts of the business world that you're shy in, or do you have pretty much all?
I would say the single biggest miss right now is the medical industry.
I wondered about that because you mentioned there's a huge nursing shortage, and there will be for the next 20 years when you look at the statistics on that. So any nibbles there?
What shocks me is the students on the platform. If you add up all of the search terms that are in the medical industry, everything from chiropractor to CNA to RN to brain surgeon, go down the list, the medical industry is probably the top searched industry by these students.
Really?
And the business community has not stepped up and put the content in front of them. It's a huge miss, and we're working towards it. The construction industry, manufacturing industry, military's crushing it. We've got some amazing FNBOs doing great, Cornhusker Bank's doing great. We have some amazing profiles on the platform that are doing it, that are doing what they're supposed to, and they're reaping the rewards. They're the ones getting the applications. They're the ones getting the phone calls of these students saying, one of the neatest things is Kawasaki and First National Bank have added in as one of their opportunities just a 3-hour job shadow. Come take a look. You don't have to fill out an application. You don't have to do an internship or apprenticeship. Just come hang out for 3 hours. We'll give you a tour and see if this banking thing is for you. And they're having huge success.
Really?
Yeah. And think about it from FNBO standpoint is if you're trying to sort through 30 applicants and you spend 3 hours with each one of those applicants, you probably toss 90% of them in pretty short order, and you end up with the 10% of the best after spending a couple hours with them.
Yeah, because you can see whose eyes lit up when they engaged in that conversation.
Exactly.
That's very
Well,
cool.
Bo, I want to thank you for taking the time to come and share your vision with us and for all you're doing for Lincoln and Nebraska.
Well, thank both of you for
Great
this opportunity.
stories, great stories, great work.
Thanks.
You're a builder.
You've been listening to Common Grounds, conversations from the roasting room at the Coffee Roaster in Lincoln, Nebraska. These conversations are designed to help us better understand the people who share this place and the stories that shape it. If something you heard today stayed with you, we invite you to keep the conversation going. Share the episode. Sit down with someone and talk. Thanks for being part of Common Grounds. We'll see you next time.